Good morning. We're going to start today with a cookbook. A cookbook idea. My life is a cookbook. That's how I think of it. That's how I have come to understand it, with a lot of different recipes and a lot of different ingredients in those recipes. It came from Design the Life You Love, the book we're doing in March. And this is time 4 books on lipsticking.com with Yvonne DeVita. So last week we talked about deconstruction. We took apart the pieces of our life, the things that were really important to us, and we made a little diagram. And then we talked about using the 4 quadrants: emotion, physical, spirit, intellect. And we were asked to put just one. I put more than one, so I mean, sometimes I'm out of control. So I put family and how they inspire me, and how I love my dog, and my cat that I don't have yet. We lost a cat a few months ago, but we're going to get a new one. I talked about the physical, the need to move from Colorado to New York, and the process and the things that go into finding a new home, not just a house, a new home. And in the intellect, I wrote down do and create better content for my blog, for you, for my book, and for the workshops I plan on giving when I get to New York. And under spirit, I put meditation, reading, and walking. Well, it's time to turn to the cookbook that I talked about. And the reason that I think of my life as a cookbook, it's part of the point of view. When we get to point of view, she quotes Shakespeare. And Shakespeare says, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And that's something that I do believe in. Thinking being doing. It's Lee Thayer, a professor and author that I helped publish back in the days when I had a company where we published books. He talked about that, thinking, being, doing. So you can't just think, you can't just be, you have to do. And Ayse wants us to talk now about point of view. We are moving into how to think differently about the things that we have in our lives, how we can make choices as what to put back in from the deconstruction. And she talked about the heart of creativity and how you have to get rid of things, you have to keep things, and you have to transform things. And you notice I didn't write a lot in there. I'm still thinking about that. I really don't like writing down answers and then having to go back and cross them out and put something else there, which happens a lot, because that's what life is about. It's not just this neat little package with a bow on it. It's got a lot of things in it, and that's why I think of my life as a cookbook. So she goes on to talk about thinking differently, and then looking at from the point of view of the heroes in your life, the heroes that you believe in. And so she asked you to write down heroes, and I wrote down, I'll just read a couple from them. I wrote down Wonder Woman. I was just really fascinated with Wonder Woman. Strong, powerful, intelligent, doesn't let people push her around, doesn't understand why they would. I also wrote down Harriet Beecher Stowe. One of my favorite quotes is from Harriet Beecher Stowe. It's that women are the real architects of society. And Susan B. Anthony. We all know what Susan B. Anthony accomplished for women in this world. These are women who are smart. They have perseverance. They're talented and loving. They're very strong. They're purposeful. And they have empathy. And so then I put my daughters. I have 2 daughters, and they're fascinating, but fabulous women, fabulous young women out there accomplishing so many things. I write about them on the blog, so you can see more about them there. And for that, when I wrote down them, I also wrote down laughter. because they make me laugh. They're just full of life and excitement for every single day that comes. And I wonder sometimes what they would compare their life to if I'm comparing mine to a cookbook, which everyone will laugh at me about because I don't cook much. But I do cook now. Anyway, I also put down Tom, my husband, because he keeps me grounded. He keeps me on the plane of knowing that I can accomplish the things that I want to accomplish, and that thinking, being, doing is the process of how to go about that. So when we get to that, we write down our heroes and why there are heroes. We pass into what the author calls metaphor. And Jonathan Haidt wrote, human thinking depends on metaphor. We understand new or complex things in relation to things we already know. It seems common sense, doesn't it? But how powerful is it? If she says, when you're designing a life, you shift, excuse me, from what you know to what you can imagine. That's a good word, imagine. I love imagination. You're defining an idea you have, an inkling for, I have to put my glasses on for this. Thought I could do it, but I can't. So, you have an inkling, an idea you have an inkling for, but you can't quite put your finger on. This moment of creative transition is ideal for metaphors. And I got really fascinated with how she wrote that her life is a tree, and that's over here on this page. And on her tree, she has thinking and education, product design, because that's her profession, learning, and her past. She has New York, expressing the present. She has fruit, the world, teaching, ideas, sharing, future, all the kinds of things that go into all of our lives, really. But those are things that she's focused on. And the next page, where you saw the clown, sort of, it says, my life is Cirque du Soleil. Colorful, playful, creative, energetic, humanitarian, global, choreographed, chaotic, breathtaking, universal, limit-breaking, epic, collaborative, daring, original, multi-locational, passionate, exceeding the impossible, dynamic, rooted, and in motion. And that was Marion Gibbon, a strategic advisor. And apparently, the clown was her representation of that. And so I really want you now to start thinking about the point of view from the idea of a metaphor. What is your life? What can you compare it to that works for you? And I chose Cookbook, again, because of the varied recipes. I have a lot of cookbooks. And back in the day, Joy of Cooking was the big thing. Everyone had one of those big, thick cookbook. And I do use that. It does have a lot of recipes for a lot of different things. So we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We have desserts. We have family gatherings. We have all the kinds of things that, from a cookbook perspective, you have to bring different ingredients to. Everything has something different about it. And that's why I'm looking at my life as a cookbook. I want the cookbook to have hundreds of different recipes. And I want, in the cookie section, I've been experimenting with different ways to make cookies. And I don't necessarily do everything in the recipe that I see in the cookbook or Pinterest. Let's not get going on Pinterest. I look at it and I say, I'm going to add peanut butter, even if there isn't any peanut butter. I love peanut butter. Or I'm going to add something else. Or I'm going to make it so it has no dairy in it, because my daughter, Chloe, doesn't eat dairy. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm making my own cookbook. My life is a cookbook. It's a cookbook that I can design. It's a cookbook of recipes that I'm making. So I'd love to hear what your metaphor is for your life as you are doing the Design the Life You Love workbook with me this month in March at Time for Books on lipsticking.com with Yvonne DeVita.